G'day everyone, hopping in while Sylvie's still sleeping just to have a bit of a muse on what happened yesterday. I'm still kind of getting over it. It's funny that I wrote the post I did last night around trusting our children because I really inherently believe in trusting them and that they don't take on challenges that they're not ready for. However, we also need to be their governing brain when they're also taking on things that aren't safe. And that's what I really found with Sylvie yesterday when I had to fish a bolt out of her throat. So I didn't realise, but Hugo had unpacked a tiny little packet of bolts for a ladder for our trampoline, and one of them hadn't got put back in, and she had picked it up. It was about this big. And I heard her just near me over on the couch choking, like I heard her making this sound, and I opened her mouth and saw it in there and just grabbed it out. And it was one of those moments where I thought, God, like that was just so lucky that I was here. She's pretty good in terms of not putting Lego in her mouth and seems to have moved past that stage, so I've been able to have a shower here and there and just do things without having to keep my eye on her. And that was a moment that really reminded me to not be complacent and to really find appreciation again for any disconnection that I was feeling with her, for my role and importance that I provide in terms of guiding her in her day to keep her safe, as well as allow her to expand. And this is the thing, right? Like, life and parenting is all about that, trying to strike that balance between holding on and letting go. And I can't tell you the amount of trauma that was in my body when I realised what could have happened had I not seen that happening with her and had I not fished it out successfully, because I could feel it starting to wedge further and further back in her throat. And possibly she would have passed it, but possibly not. Like, it was so big. And it's those moments that we all find ourselves in parenting, and for me particularly this time around it's kind of new because my son wasn't like she is. He was much more placid and kind of chill, whereas she's a go-getter and wants to get into everything. And I mean, every one of our children is teaching us something different that we need to learn. And yesterday for me it was, integrate your complacency and remember how important it is to set kind of healthy parameters for our kids that allow them to grow and move within a safe distance from us, but not so much that it's unsafe. And I really listened to my own internal kind of dialogue around what was happening and how I was feeling about it after it happened, because I think it can be so easy as mothers to blame ourselves or go into guilt and shame about what happens when these things happen with us for our kids. And I mean, those who have had more troubling incidences would totally know the pain of this kind of thing, but we really need to look at it more broadly and find the bigger picture and see also how it's serving our relationship, how it's serving our child. I mean, it would certainly have been traumatic for her, and she did wake up quite a bit more last night, and I wonder if it was because she was still sort of processing what had happened during her day. It was certainly something that I kind of went to bed with still on my mind. But I think we really need to have compassion for ourselves and notice our internal dialogue around this kind of thing when it does happen, so that we can integrate what we need to learn from it, but not take it on and kind of create a shame or a guilt story around what we could have or should have done, because there are benefits to our children in learning their limits in things as well. I mean, that there will be some fear perhaps created in her around what happened that might not be evident now, but that she will integrate, and that serves her. And so even the things that we find really difficult and want to kind of, stop on some level are actually serving our kids, just like, the broken arm or the childhood illness that can be really hard for them to work through. Perhaps it's, a week of being sick in bed or whatever. The times that my son has been ill have been really, really empowering experiences for him to really get to know his body, because if he hadn't experienced what it feels like to be sick, he was not going to experience how great it feels to be well, and how to understand how his body works and how his digestive system works to break down food, and how certain foods make him feel versus other ones that don't make him feel so good. And even the things that we often find most hard to go through as humans are actually the very making of us. And so it's kind of a serious topic for me to be jumping in on around choking, because it's a really, really dangerous thing that we all need to consider. And I'm definitely going to go back and revisit my my kids' CPR training that I've got in my study, because it was a reminder that there are areas that I have let go that I need to get empowered in again. And I mean, the same can be said for other areas of our mothering journey, whether it's areas in our relationship that need work on in terms of so we can bring more of ourselves to our kids, or maybe there's a continual sticking point that's going on with a particular child and we're wanting to move through it. These are all little whispers for us to empower ourselves. They're not for us to play out a victim role or to kind of run away from. They're little whispers for us to dig a bit deeper and try to understand what that's trying to teach us, because life is always trying to teach us and we don't always hear it, but there's wisdom there. So I got my little bit of wisdom in a bit of a wake-up call yesterday, so I'm really sitting with that. And taking what I need from it, and it was a really rich opportunity for connection with Sylvia after that had happened. But again, it's a way for us to kind of go inwards as mothers and look at our story, how we're believing, our experiences shaping us and shaping our children, and what we're willing to become us, and what we're willing to transform as well, so that we're not making a story out of something that could have been really hard, but that we're able to grow from as well, and able to integrate in a way that leaves our children whole and heard and felt and understood and cared for, and also the same for us, because we're learning too. We're learning just as much as they are. So just wanted to jump in and say that, and perhaps if you've had other experiences as well that have freaked the hell out of you with your little ones, I'd love to share and have some solidarity, because it was pretty terrifying yesterday. I know Jules and I have had this conversation before around choking, and my parents remind me all the time of how I went blue on a snake, on a lolly snake, and I kind of get a bit more of a sense of how they might have felt after experiencing what happened with Sylvia yesterday, choking on a bolt this big. So glad I got it out, but yeah, an opportunity to take a breath and pause and reflect and see what I need to take into my next elevation of parenting, perhaps, moving on. So yeah, share anything you want in the comments, and thanks.